our meeting. There we go. Thanks, Matt. In addition, I want to remind everyone we are meeting via Zoom for both accessibility and to be in compliant with the state. The district has ordered necessary technology and is currently working to get us back to in-person board meetings with a virtual option as well. So now let me introduce our board members. First, we have Dr. Hilda Pena Alfaro. And sorry, my screen needs to expand so I can make sure I can see everybody. Also, we have Meg Ludlam, Dan Schisler, Tasha Woods, and I am Jason White. Also present, we have our student reps. I think I saw Jaden Burrows, and I'm trying to scroll through the list to see if Olivia's here. If not, and then also we are joined by Superintendent Haber as well as various district admin. So at board, up first, we have our consent agenda. We had our study session to ask our questions. Is board, I entertain a motion.
That we approve the consent agenda as presented.
I'll second.
All right, Dan has moved that we approve the consent agenda and Tasha has seconded. Is there any discussion? All right, then I'll call the vote. Meg?
Aye.
Hilda?
Aye.
Dan?
Aye.
Tasha?
Aye.
I also vote aye. Motion carries. Consent agenda approved. Next up, we have administration. Take it away with superintendent celebrations.
We have a lot to celebrate here in Ellensburg, and certainly just appreciative of our community and our teachers, our administrators, our executive directors. We just had a really wonderful time together, and thank you board members who were able to be there for the Excellence in Ellensburg ceremony. It was just a really great time to recognize the talent that we have here in Ellensburg. And we're going to continue with the celebrations. I'd like to start with Principal Michelle Bibich at Morgan Middle School. Huge celebration with the stamp test, and I invited her to come tonight to share about that. Michelle.
All right, well, thank you so much. So the stamp test, I've just got a quick PowerPoint just to help explain this. So the stamp test is an annual test that's taken. It's called the Standards-Based Measure of Proficiency. I had to look it up because I just always call it the stamp test. And it's for reading, writing, and speaking in a second or more languages. And so our students at 8th grade have the opportunity to take this for the first time. And we seek out our students who are native Spanish speakers and are able to take this test. And one of the things that happens is that the students can earn what's called the Washington State Seal of Biliteracy. And this recognizes public high school graduates who get a high enough level of proficiency in all 3 areas that they are considered biliterate, beyond even being bilingual. So it's a huge accomplishment. The students do get to retake the test again while they're in high school. And I know the high school has many students who also achieve high levels on this assessment. But for our middle school students, what's really exciting is that this year we had 24 students who completed the stamp. And based on how they perform on the stamp, they earn high school credits. And so we had 5 students earn 1 high school credit, 6 earned 2, 8 of them earned 3 high school credits, and 3 of our students who are pictured here earned 4 high school credits and the Seal of Biliteracy as 8th graders. Yosani Carrasco Telo, Stephanie Chavez Figueroa, and Teresa Garcia Green all achieved that accomplishment. And it is just absolutely one of, I can't even believe it. I mean, I work really, really hard to try to learn another language. And these 14-year-old young women are already considered biliterate. So very, very exciting at Morgan Middle School.
Thank you so much, Michelle. It's really an accomplishment. And we saw the fruits of your labor at middle school too, at the high school last night at our scholarship night. They are recognizing even more students that have gotten their stamp test accomplishment. So thank you for all of your hard work there at Morgan and getting our kids to be biliterate, which is a huge, huge advantage for our students. Next, I had a wonderful opportunity to be at Mount Stewart the other day, and Kathy Kiefer was showing me some of the data that she had as far as evidence of closing the gap with our students, our EL learners, as well as our students with disabilities. And also one of her teachers was just in the newspaper yesterday, Cynthia Hilburn, for her time capsule. So wasn't sure if you were going to be able to share about that too, or we'll just save that for next time and we'll celebrate it. But I see Michelle Beeman here, another amazing Mount Stewart teacher. So Kathy, share the good stuff that's going on at Mount Stewart.
All right, thank you. Yeah, we have a lot to celebrate, and I know we do have a lot to celebrate district-wide. We have worked really hard, and I know our students and our families and every single staff member in ESD, along with our board members, have really put in a lot of overtime this year. It's been a heavy year. We've been haunted by many of the challenges that we have faced, and we have all persevered. So I just want to start by saying how proud I am of all of us for the work that we've done this year. And it has been really excited to start looking at some of our preliminary data that's coming in as we're finishing up these final assessments to see how much growth our students have made this school year. And as we're looking at that, it has been a cause for a lot of celebration, and a huge sigh of relief is going up around the district. I know not just at our building, but at the other buildings as well. Our goal this year, in spite of everything, was really to grow students and make the most of every minute we had, regardless of what those minutes look like or what format they took. At Mount Stewart, we kept going back to our why. From the very get-go, when schools closed last spring, we reminded ourselves often and frequently of why we are in this business of working in education and supporting students. And so as we went through our school year, we had the opportunity to revise our mission and vision a little bit to make sure that our core beliefs were well known and that we had a way to reflect on them and kind of gauge our actions that we were taking on a daily basis, and the reason we weren't just tossing our hands up and not working hard to persevere. So what we made the commitment to do at Mount Stewart was to focus on growth, and we really did keep our foundation strong with a no excuses mindset. We made a commitment to making the most of every minute, as I said, no matter what the instructional model was. Our teachers worked harder than ever to create positive learning environments, no matter the instructional model. Our partnerships with parents and community organizations like our childcare providers was better than it has ever been before, and that will be something that we strive to continue. We, at our building level, focused on rebooting our professional learning communities and staying focused on using data to inform our instruction and leveraging those high impact instructional strategies that are good for all learners, not just our EL students or our students with IEPs. We had created a master schedule at the end of last school year to incorporate win times, or what I need times, 30-minute blocks of intervention and enrichment classes in both reading and math. We were able to put a modified version of that into place in April when we brought most of our students back in person. So beginning in April, we did start a win time schedule that allowed us to serve our K-5 students with 30 minutes of individualized instruction in small groups, K-5 in reading, and for math in our 4th and 5th grade classes. And again, we just committed to that unwavering commitment to our school improvement plan with a focus on our historically underperforming student groups. And no matter what, we were going to see some growth. We knew that the work could be put in, and we knew that regardless of what our school year looked like, that it was our job to make sure that students were showing growth. And so I'm just going to share with you a little bit. And as I said, this is just kind of as we're getting our data in here, as we're finishing up, and we haven't spent a lot of time analyzing it. This data we will use at the beginning of next school year when we start fresh in September to help us identify where we need to continue to do some work in our building to support our students even better, and take a look at the areas where we saw some growth and some success, and continue to do those things and build those programs. And so our kindergarten measures, if you are looking across this data table, across the rows, each row is one student, and it will show their fall and spring scores. And in as many cases as possible, I did try to include multiple measures, not just one measure, depending on if our grade levels were finished with those assessments or not. At a glance there, if you look at the ones highlighted in pink, those are students who either remained the same, didn't show growth on that measure, or in some cases they declined. But all of the other data points there and students that they represent will show that they made growth in those areas. For the BAS testing, we also included the column there that tells how many levels they increased. And so within the entire school year, we kind of tried to gauge how many levels did they grow at each grade level. For the most part, to show 1 year's growth, it's about 3 levels to show 1 year's growth. And so you can kind of get a gauge of how much growth those students showed. The blue indicates one of those historically underperforming subgroups, and the green is another one of those subgroups. And the percentages across the top will just indicate what percentage of those groups showed growth through this school year. And so as we look at the other grades, it is outlined the same. The data, may include some different measures, but the BAS is pretty consistent through each of the grade levels. So you can see there, we have some of our students who are in one of the subgroups. Some of our students are actually included in both of those subgroups, and you can kind of track them across to see their growth and the levels that they increased throughout the school year, and those who did not. And so again, that will allow us to be able to start off, hit the ground running next school year and say, okay, let's take a look at this student. These are the interventions that they were provided. They didn't seem to have the desired effect. What else do we need to do at this point? And do some more diagnostic assessments and kind of identify what are their needs and how do we close those gaps. Our second grade. Some of our students were brand new to us, and so we had no data to track on them, or at least not a beginning and an end point. And so that did impact our data a tiny bit. And so when you see no data, that is typically a student that was new to us and wasn't able to take both the baseline and the final assessment. Or in other situations, there are students who have challenges in assessments, and sometimes there's not a way to gather data in this format. And so we do track growth in other ways for those students. Our third grade. Our fourth grade groups. And in that second subgroup there, you see 100% of our students who we were able to have both points of data, were able to meet those growth goals. And our fifth graders. And again, we were very pleased in taking a look at this, and these are just a couple of our subgroups. It's not our overall data. Our classes and our grade levels have seen significant growth, and it has been very validating. And so I am really proud of the work that our teachers and our students and our families did, because I know the heart and soul that went into this year and making this possible. It is not attributed to me. I tried to give them what they need and get out of their way, because I know that the teachers just need to be able to do their work. They're phenomenal. I did invite a few of our teachers to come and give you kind of a teacher perspective, so that they could talk a little bit about kind of their whole class data and some of the implications that impacted them this year, but also how they were able to persevere and just the things that really did support them and make this possible. And so if it's possible, I believe Lainey, Michelle, and Megan are all here. And if they could be allowed to unmute in turn and just share some brief comments, that would be really nice for them to be able to honor the work that they've done this year.
Absolutely. And I think Matt is working on that right now.
Who am I trying to unmute?
Michelle Beeman,
Yeah. Should be
Swan.
able to-
There she goes.
Hi.
There you go.
Hi, how are you guys? My name is Michelle Beeman, and I am a third grade teacher at Mount Stewart Elementary. I am here to celebrate with you all and provide evidence of all of our students' growth. Each year, we give the Benchmark Assessment System, or BAS test, 3 times a year. Of our students, greater than 90% showed improvements on the test, with no students regressing. This is huge, this is amazing, and we're so proud of all of our students. Of those, nearly 2/3 met our fairly ambitious goal of at least leveling 3 levels of growth. Out of our students that met this goal, 58% are above benchmark. And again, that's fantastic. I should note that this data only includes the hybrid model students, but it is a large enough sample size that we expect that all the virtual students to show similar growth. This year presented many unique challenges, and both our students and staff really rose to meet those challenges. We were able to leverage the unique situations presented by the hybrid to our advantage. Things like smaller guided reading groups and an emphasis on individual students allowed us to really focus on what each student needed. Thank you for allowing this opportunity to share our success here at Mount Stewart with the board and also the community. Thank you.
And next is Megan Hayden. You see her picture there?
Thank you for unmuting me. I tried to do it myself and I couldn't do it. My name is Megan Hayden. I teach 5th grade at Mount Stewart, and I partner with Jamie Herder. I do ELA and science, while my partner does math and social studies. And together we have set some really ambitious goals for our students as well. Kathy's already done a great job going over our data, so I don't want to do that again. And Michelle already really emphasized the quality of our small groups that we were able to enjoy, especially during hybrid. But I do want to mention, like Kathy said, the heart that went into this year. There were so many times that we could have given up and chosen simpler routes. And I say we, speaking for our team, but I know I'm not alone in how we feel and how we acted. And we did give ourselves and our students grace, but we didn't lower our expectations for our instruction or for their performance. And if we found things that were not satisfactory, we were creative in fixing them. Like if we found holes in our curricula, we filled it. And if our attendance and participation was dipping, we asked families how we could clarify expectations. And like Kathy said, we worked with our childcare providers and incentivized participation. This year has been the most creative and collaborative year I have ever had in my career. And I feel like in the past, I've been very creative and collaborative. So that really, there are so many highlights to take from this year in our data. I think it really shows in our data. So thank you for giving us the opportunity to celebrate with you.
And Lainey Barnsley is the next person, Matt.
Hello, everybody. I'm Lainey Barnsley, and I teach kinder at Mount Stewart. And I'm here to share a celebration about our kindergarten growth goal today. We knew going into this that our goal would look different with the way this year was set up and kinder's on virtual. It just had to look different this year. And we chose to focus on letters and letter sounds because it's so critical for kinders. And our goal was for 85% of our below benchmark kiddos to have at least 20 letters and at least 20 sounds. And that might not sound super significant, but I will kind of paint a clearer picture just by telling you my exact class numbers. We ended up getting 83% of those kiddos to over 20 letters and 78% of those kiddos over 20 sounds, which was like huge for us because we had so many that were at 0. So just to kind of put that into perspective, coming into kinder, I had 9 of 20 kids that had 0 to 5 sounds inconsistently. That's like half the class. So that was a lot. And that's not unusual for us. But given kind of the layout, the teaching model, how we started, we knew kinders needed to be there all day, every day. They eventually did get to, and that's when we saw the huge growth. So now looking at my numbers, all but one of those 9 kiddos is at 40 plus letters. All but 2 of those kiddos are at over 20 sounds. So that's huge for us. Coming back to school, like Kathy said, on April 19th, we jumped right into WIN. That was huge for us. The major growth happened in the 3rd trimester, and we know it's because we were back at school. So we are excited. We're excited to start WIN next year right off the bat, to be at school full time. And we're just celebrating all the growth.
That's so wonderful. Thank you so much. Kathy, is there anything else that you would add?
Nope, I think that sums it up. Thank you, ladies, for being here tonight. I appreciate that.
Yes, and thank you. It's really wonderful to have teachers here and sharing just the great work that you guys have been doing. So thank you. All right, now I'd like to introduce Tiffany Price. She has just done amazing work once again at Ellensburg High School in her students earning some very prestigious technological as well as computer science certifications that will make them very marketable now as well as when they graduate. So Tiffany.
Hello, everybody. My name's Tiffany Price. Thank you so much for that warm introduction and for allowing me to come and present our student success to the board and also to our community. I teach computer science at the high school, and this is actually our 3rd year in completing computer science classes there. And it's just been incredible. And I just want to go ahead and start. I have some slides to show. So should I go ahead and share my screen? Okay. Alrighty. Here we go. Okay. Oops. Yes. Welcome to Zoom. Okay. Anyway, let's see. Hopefully you can see my slides. Yes. Okay. Thank you. Okay. I'm trying to bring them back up. Oh, let's see. Okay. I'm so sorry.
Tiffany, it makes us all feel better. You're the
Thank
computer
you.
science teacher, so thank you. Thank you for making us feel better.
Thank you. It's all for you. Okay. Yes, let me go ahead and just hit present. Okay, so yes, this is such an exciting year. It marks our 3rd year of having computer science classes at the high school, but it was actually 4 years ago where we brought in our first computer science club, and it was Joelle Boast, our middle school computer science teacher, and myself, as well as some brave students who persevered cold mornings and would come to meetings long before school started to participate in the Bulldog Bites Coding Club. And so this marks their 4th year at Ellensburg High School. They all started as freshmen, and there are a number of students now graduating who have had the opportunity to participate in computer science in all 4 years. So yay. So, okay. So I'm here to talk and share with you the success with our certifications. These are industry certificates that we've been able to offer our students. And I'm proud to say that some of our students are actually online in the Zoom tonight. So this is really to honor them and their accomplishments. So OSPI partnered with Microsoft to provide students the opportunity to take industry certifications and leave high school with certificates that would help their to help them be competitive in their careers, and also to help actually increase their income. As you can see, 91% of hiring managers consider certification as part of their hiring criteria. Not only that, but employees that have certificates often earn more money than those that don't. And they're also often sought after as well during the recruitment process. So what was really wonderful about this partnership between OSPI and Microsoft is that we are offering our students the opportunity to take these exams for free. Typically, the exam costs about $127 to take. And so it's been really nice to be able to offer students to be able to take these exams for free. Not only that, they can take them multiple times. So that's nice. They don't have to, it doesn't matter what score they get as long as they pass. And it doesn't matter how many times they take. However, they are only allowed to take their exam up to 5 times because they are industry recognized. So students have up to 5 times to take the exam. It takes about 2 months to learn the content that is covered on the exam. It's not easy. Just because we offer these exams at the high school level doesn't mean it's high school level content. These are, again, exams that professionals would take and would have to pay money to learn the content. And so these students were able to learn the content in the class and then go ahead and take the exams. And typically the exam takes about 45 minutes to complete, which may sound like a lot of time, but it's really not, considering there's between 35 to 40 questions. So they come at you pretty quickly, and they have to be able to assess and identify the correct answer within time constraints. For this last spring, I'm proud to announce that we've got a couple students who individually sought to prepare for the Microsoft Technology Associate exam in Python. And we have Elsie Siski and Jesus Sanchez. Both of them earned their Microsoft Technology Associate certification this spring, and I'm super proud of them because they on their own time came in and prepared for those exams and then passed. And underneath those masks are big smiles. And you can kind of see that there in the background behind them is their score and their congratulations. So it's just a wonderful moment to capture. even if they have to wear masks, they just are glowing with happiness and pride. We have another student, her name is Peyton Harville. She also, on her own, has successfully prepared for and passed the Microsoft Technology Associate in JavaScript. This was another student who was very interested in pursuing this on her own. You can see the smiles there. And the JavaScript certification often leads to jobs in web development, as well as that Python. So I didn't get to mention, but the Python programming language will often lead to jobs in software engineering, data science, or artificial intelligence, and is highly sought after. It is probably listed as one of the top programming languages that hiring managers are seeking. So congratulations to these students. Also, and just recently, I teach AP Computer Science A. It's a Java class, and 11 out of the 12 students passed their Java certification in the Microsoft Technology Associate. You can see the happiness there. And honestly, the 12th student only came 5 points away from earning his certification. So I expect that he will be retaking the exam and joining this crowd. We've got Joey Shota, Weston Hansen, Diana Alvarado, Dale Fabian, Andrew Gladen, Andrew Stinson, Tad Miller, Clayton Cagle, Ben Sackett, Hannah Fanichab, and Isaac Fanichab. And so all of these students should be commended. Again, it is not an easy exam to pass, and they did it, and I'm so extremely proud of each and every one of them. So bravo to my Java students as well. Java is a highly sought after programming language and is used in industry to support web applications and different applications that can run on all kinds of devices, whether that be the web or your mobile device. And if we have any students out there, Minecraft was programmed in Java. So, and next I have two students also who's were taking video game design with me, 1 and 2, and each passed their Unity user programming certificate. And Unity is an industry language used to program video games that are used out. It's not anything high school level by any means. They're using object-oriented programming language to programming it. And there's a lot of popular games that have been programmed in the Unity programming environment. So congratulations. We have Thomas Lanowski and Zach Leverton. So congratulations to these gentlemen. They are also graduating seniors out of computer science. So so proud of them as well. And then also, I just have to mention that earlier this year, around early December, from my computer science principles class, these students, part of the class is learning Python, and they earned their Microsoft Technology Associate certificate in Python. And again, what's very unique, and I know that this was shared earlier by other guests, but this was a very tough year for students, especially in the early part of the year. This was, we started learning Python when we were still virtual, and then we became hybrid, and still the students were only in class 2 days a week. But to their credit, their effort, dedication, they persevered through the circumstances and were able to rise to the occasion. They prepared and they passed their exam in earning an MTA as well. And so I'm so proud of these students. And you can see here, I've got a total of 19. I couldn't fit all 19 on the slide, but bravo to them as well. So I just want to, just in summary, we have in our community, we have 35 total students who earned a certificate this year. For some of them, this was their second certificate. Some of the Java students had already earned their Python, but we have 21 MTA certificates in Python 11, in Java, 1 in JavaScript, and we have 2 in the Unity programming language. I can't express my gratitude to all of you to be able to recognize these students and to let you know just how amazing they are and the hard work and dedication that they have demonstrated to earn these certificates. And I just thank you for this opportunity, and congratulations to all our students out there. You're incredible and inspiring, so thank you.
Thank you so much, Tiffany. Wow, what an accomplishment. It's just, you know, it's been a tough year with the pandemic and the different models, but just to see that perseverance and that grit and at Mount Stewart and Morgan and at the high school and across, I know at Lincoln and Valley View as well. Our teachers and students, and Kathy, you mentioned parents, you know, we all just really became a team this year and did our best, and you can see the results. You know, we have some really great results with our students too. So
Can I just mention one last thing? I'm so
Sure.
sorry, but I forgot to introduce our mascot in computer science. Behind me, this is Coding Cat, in case you were wondering. So, thank you.
I was kind of wondering about that, Tiffany, so that's awesome. Oh, that's awesome. Well, we could keep going with the celebrations, but the last one that I have is our girls basketball team just took a league very, very recently with only like 5 weeks of practice. And so I invited Jeff Whitney to share about that celebration.
Yeah, I've heard the word grateful come out a lot. We sat for 14 months not even knowing if we were going to have a season. And I think all of our girls, coaches, and our parents' mental health really stemmed on the administration for all the people who got this going. I think grateful is the word to use. Very proud of both of our teams this year. You know, again, the girls coming out after a 14-month layoff, getting a week to basically practice and then getting right into games. And, you know, we won a majority of all of our games, and our varsity was able to, you know, their second consecutive year of winning the CWAC championship. So I just have I'm just proud. I really am. I'm a proud coach of all of our girls. And, you know, they're battling through masks and running with masks and all the PPE that we were always, you know, giving them. They were just resilient, probably more resilient than the adults. So, you know, again, it's an honor to be able to be their coach. And it's, you know, again, they're very young. So it's, hopefully this is something that you know, this program will see for the years to come. So again, I just thank everybody from administration down who played the role in allowing our players to get back in action. I think that's a big thing, because I think another year off would have really, really been detrimental to just our health, overall mental health. So I think that's about all I have to share, but thank you very much.
Thank you, Jeff. Congratulations again. And that is the end of my report.
All right. Thank you, Ginger. Wow, that was great. I always love the good news that you bring to us. So, and all the excellent work the district has done, especially since with such a challenging year. So thank you for that. Okay, board, moving on into our agenda, we have 4 resolutions. We have had some time to look at those, and we've also had study session to further discussion. So board, are we ready to move forward?
I move that we accept resolution 140621.
And I second.
All right, Tasha has moved that we approve resolution 14621, and Hilda has seconded. Is there any discussion?
All right. We should probably just say what it is.
Oh, the supervisory personnel, represented supervisory personnel.
So this is done annually for contracts so that people stay employed and we can staff our schools.
Yeah, all of these resolutions are for that.
Yeah.
Thank you for that clarification. Yes, good job, Tasha.
For different groups of personnel.
Any other discussion or comments? All right, then I'll call the vote. Meg,
Aye.
Hilda,
Aye.
Dan,
Aye.
Tasha.
Aye.
I also vote aye. Resolution passes. Next up, we have resolution 15621, non-supervisory personnel.
I move that we adopt this resolution for non-supervisory personnel.
And I second.
All right, Meg has moved that we adopt resolution 15621 and Hilda has seconded. Is there any discussion? All right, then I'll call the vote. Meg,
Aye.
Hilda,
Aye.
Dan,
Aye.
Tasha.
Aye.
I also vote aye. Resolution passes. Next resolution is resolution 16621, non-represented professional executive personnel.
I move that we approve resolution 16621.
Second.
All right, Hilda has moved that we approve resolution 16621 and Dan has seconded. Is there any discussion? If there is not, Meg, or I'll call the vote. Meg,
Aye.
Hilda,
Aye.
Dan,
Aye.
Tasha.
Aye.
I also vote aye. Resolution passes. And the last resolution was resolution 17621, non-represented supervisory personnel.
That we adopt resolution 17621.
I'll
I second.
All right, we have 2 seconds. I like that. So Dan has moved that we adopt resolution 17621, and I think I heard Meg first, so Meg has seconded. Is there any discussion? If there is not, I will call the vote. Meg,
Aye.
Dan,
Aye.
Hilda,
Aye.
Tasha.
Aye.
I also vote aye. Resolution passes.
I would like us to consider adopting like Jeopardy buzzers when people would like to do the motion in a second, just who gets in there first with the Jeopardy buzzer. Make it much more interesting.
Yes.
I know, I hear you. All right. Yes, so moving on. So now we have math curriculum adoptions. So I'm assuming Ginger, or you want to take it away?
Yes, I'll introduce Jen Koontz, our Director of Teaching and Learning, and I believe she's got some teachers here with her as well. And we're going to be recommending that you adopt this math curriculum. Jen.
Okay, yes, there are a couple of math people. I see, Carrie, you just turned on your video and you have Burton with you in there in the background. And I saw a couple of other math people. I don't know if you're here to present with them or not, but just as a sort of introduction, this is for high school math curriculum. And I'm really excited to be adopting this for a couple of different reasons. One is, I think it was around 2003 or so that we last adopted high school math curriculum. So it is overdue and found some really long overdue, and we found some really good materials. I'm also excited about this adoption because it marks the last one that's sort of a fragmented adoption that we're doing. And what I mean by that is we have for a number of years been away from an adoption cycle. And so we've adopted sort of hodgepodge, like, oh, we might need materials here, so let's get those here. And now we want to do science at the middle level, and now we want to do ELA at the high school level. And it causes problems for a number of different reasons. So I got us back on an adoption cycle, but it took us just a bit to kind of work out all the kinks and the additional last. We want to do this adoption to get into a good spot before we roll into an adoption cycle. And it improves for being on an adoption cycle, improves things like budgeting. It helps teams plan for when they can expect to do another adoption. so that we don't find ourselves in a spot where the math department hasn't been able to adopt since 2003, so that they know, oh, in 6 more years, we can look at our materials again. And if there are some needs that we have, we can fill those needs. And it helps with vertical alignment. So we run into vertical alignment problems when we adopt math at this level and then math at this level a couple of years later and then math at the next level. So it helps with that alignment to do a K-12, like we will be on a content area K-12 adoption cycle in the future. It also helps us avoid adopting things, too many content areas, mostly at the elementary at one time. So while they're all great materials and while we needed all of them, we ended up in a spot where because of our lack of a cycle, we were adopting new reading materials, relatively new writing materials, new science materials, and new math materials, K-5, all at once, which is, again, like even though they're all great materials and it was a good adoption and it was needed for improvement, that's not the best way to implement new curricula. So I'm also excited about this adoption because it's the last one that we're going to do before we can ease into that smoother content-based K-12 adoption cycle. So I am going to leave it to the math department to present their findings. And so I think, Carrie, are you the only one that needs to be unmuted? Okay, so Matt, if you could unmute Carrie Faye, and then do you want to pull up the PowerPoint? Would you want me to?
If you would, that'd be awesome.
Sure.
Okay, and I will say that I am also very excited because to put in perspective, the last time that we adopted, my son is graduating this year, and I remember working on the adoption when he was like 2 weeks old with Molly and Daya, who used to work in our district. So it has been 18 years since we adopted new math curriculum. So also very excited. All right, so I'll let you click through, Jen, if you want to. And actually, I'm going to let Burton talk first because he did more of the piloting of the McGraw-Hill pre-algebras and algebras and those ones. So I'm going to let him start.
So on the McGraw-Hill materials, as you know, we've decided to make an Algebra Trig course a little bit more rigorous and an Algebra 2 course that's not quite as rigorous. Both of them meet the College Board expectations, etc., for the clearinghouse, if you know what I'm talking about. We found this curriculum, the McGraw-Hill stuff, super aligned with what we currently do, which is absolutely fantastic for us as a department, but it also gives kids a whole lot of opportunity to expand and grow at a level that's not quite as rigorous as our Algebra Trig materials, but also allows them to use a bunch of online curriculum, lots of on-demand type curriculum for masses of amounts of practice, and will serve our kids really well. It also will provide for, in this COVID area, if you will, ways for kids to access everything online. Our book that we use in the classroom will also match, or we're hoping that it matches super close to what they do online. So it makes it super versatile. It matches really nice with what we're doing, and will give our kids a great opportunity to do what we like to do as a math department, but also will help them prepare for further mathematics, college bound, etc., or tech bound, so on and so forth. So super excited about it. From a teaching standpoint, it's wonderful just because it matches what we currently do, which we really like. So that's really kind of what I have on the McGraw-Hill.
Any questions on that curriculum for us? Good. Okay, if you want to go through. So the next one is, as Burton said, we have really found that we have many students that end up taking our current Algebra 2 trig class because four-year universities require it. So for any kind of entrance into the university, you have to have taken Algebra 2 trig. And a lot of students really struggle. It's not an easy course. You know, students might come out of algebra having done pretty well, but really algebra kind of scratches the surface of algebra. It's not like you're getting a super in-depth curriculum at that level. They're just not ready for that yet. And so that's why we in Algebra 2 can take it deeper, a better understanding. So we have found that a lot of kids tend to struggle. They need a little bit more time. And so those kids who are really just simply taking it to meet the requirement of, I'm going to go to a four-year university, I don't want to take any more math, Algebra 2 would be perfect for them just to stop there. So we needed to look at a curriculum that were for the kids that really do want to go on to pre-calculus and then hopefully calculus. They needed something that's more rigorous, obviously, and that it contains trig. That was a hard one for me. I went through and did some sections out of 3 different books, really. And it was really hard because some books were, oh, they had great examples within the textbook, and they would really teach things the way that I think they should be taught to get you ready for pre-calculus. But then you would get to the practice problems and there would really be nothing. And it was like, well, wait a minute, how am I going to get more practice for these kids? So we found that this book, through the See Engage, it seems to, again, it matches the rigor that I'm looking for. There was good examples within the book. So if a kid was gone, they would be able to look at the textbook and get some examples as well. And it had plenty of practice problems that I could choose from and be able to, differentiate. Okay, we need to go back and get some more problems in there, or this student needs some more challenge. And so I'd like them to try these problems. So I felt like there was a number of problems available for me to be able to pick and choose some good rigor for the students. Also has the online component so that if a kid, again, is not at school, if heaven forbid we ever have something like the pandemic we're dealing with now, we would have that online opportunity to help us with this class. So again, this class is going to be the one that kids can take if they want to continue on into pre-calculus and or calculus. Okay. And then the I can really talk about the next 2 together, pre-calculus and calculus. So they are both through Pearson. The pre-calculus textbook is the one that Central had been using, and a lot of schools also use it for the cornerstone credit that kids are able to receive by taking my math class, and then they can earn Math 153 credits and Math 154. So the really cool thing about this pre-calculus and calculus series, the online component is called My Math Lab, and that is something that many colleges actually use. So these kids are going to have an opportunity to learn how to use that My Math Lab, which is the online component, again, where I can create quizzes if I want to online. I can create more practice problem sets for them to do. I can create other assessments. And so the kids will have seen that. And then if they go off to a college that happens to use that same program, then they've already seen it for a couple of years at Ellensburg High School. I will say that I'm super excited about the calculus curriculum because it's the AP edition. And just a little bit that I was able to pilot this year, I really felt like the problems were so closely related to many problems that I've seen on past AP tests that I think that's going to be awesome, because right now I feel like my curriculum is kind of separated where they learn the calculus, but really the book didn't have good like AP type examples. So then after I teach the curriculum, then I would spend a lot of time just going over old AP questions with the kids and showing them what they look like, and we practice them and what the wording meant and what they should do. This book is going to do a really good job of that throughout. So I'm going to feel really good about, hey, they're getting that AP type stuff throughout the entire year to even better prepare them to take the AP test at the end of the year. Perfect. And I think that's all we have to say about it.
Nice. I also had on there just the anticipated costs. And I say anticipated, we've gotten quotes, but as we boil down numbers, these might shift relatively little. So this is basically what the costs are going to be. And this includes the bundled cost of getting the hard copy books, student edition, teacher editions, plus 6-year digital licenses. So again, it's helpful for budgeting to be on a cycle, because we can know that math will be up for, we will have budgeted for math adoption in 6 years. And if we want to renew those licenses at that time, then we can. So that's that. I also just wanted to say thank you to the math team for doing this pilot in this crazy year. I know it wasn't ideal for being able to identify materials and pilot materials and get trained on those new materials when everything's new. So I just want to, as much as I can, say thank you for being willing to go through that. I know you want new materials, but also it added an extra load to you guys in a year that was hefty anyhow. So just thank you for all of my work with you guys. You guys were so flexible through all of it and so great to work with and identifying those. So I just wanted to say thank you. But are there any other questions about those materials?
I have a question. One of the things that I've experienced and seen is that sometimes kids don't see a real world application for what they're learning in class. And especially with math, a lot of times that seems to happen, and with chemistry and things like that. And I was wondering if this material includes more things that they can see happening around them, as for examples and for problems to work on.
Carrie's trying to talk, but she's muted again.
Oh, there we go. Okay, I did it. I think the answer to that is yes. From, again, the little bit that I saw, I know in the calculus textbook, especially, where I think is maybe one of the spots where it's really important, especially for those real world applications. Sorry, I felt like many of the word problems did relate more to things that kids will see. There was a lot of really good environment questions, things like that. And then the other thing that I would say is, I know for sure the online program for McGraw-Hill was the one that we were able to really look into a little bit more than some of the other online ones at this point. And they had some really good, I can't remember the name of it, but they would do those. It was called dynamic learning. And they had really cool, almost like project-based things that followed an entire unit. So like whatever chapter you were in, and it would kind of build throughout the chapter, where they would do a different part of this little project-based thing. So from my standpoint, yes, I feel like these books had more of that built in.
Okay, thank you. I think that's a pretty important part of what we're trying to do.
I'm really excited about this math curriculum. So great work on that. My only couple questions is, so I know that you said that you were looking at what potentially college and the high school or Cornerstone was offering for the equivalent to the pre-calc, the Math 153. So do we know, it sounds like we are going to have the AP calculus as an option for students, correct? And then is there going to be not running start, that's what we're competing against. Is there going to be Cornerstone or college and the high school for, actually, I was interested in both of the tracks, because I'm assuming you two know, like for example, like Central has moved forward with a Math 152, which sounds very equivalent to what your Algebra 2 trig course would be. And so I was just wondering if there's any like futuristic plans to look at those as offerings for Cornerstone or college and the high school.
I think definitely. I haven't had a lot of time to look at the Math 152, but yes, I was just looking at that the other day actually and thought, oh, maybe if we can if our curriculum matches that, well enough, then that would definitely be an option. So, anything that we can offer like that to our kids, like you said, it is a great thing. If we can keep them in the high school learning at maybe a little bit slower pace, something that they can digest it better. So definitely.
Yeah, that's something I would like to build on too, that I hope that we can do more at ESD. A lot of East Coast public schools are 6 and 4 schools where most of their kids are graduating with 6 years and 4 years with those 2 years, and it's all happening within the school. So that's an exciting opportunity. It's exciting to hear that there's a curriculum adoption that has been long needed since 2003. And I like that these had an online component, because now we know that that is the context of our world, and whether we have a pandemic or not, our students and children had better know how to work online and collaborate with teams across the globe or across the road from them. These are exciting, especially as we watch the California math framework shift very quickly next fall. We'll see what that happens and what California does. Certainly rolls across the United States in about 2 years. And this is fitting within it. So thank you for all your work on that. Math adoptions are not easy to do, and it's not an easy year to do a math adoption or a pilot. So thank you.
All right, board, any other questions? Again, thank you. Thank you all for the math curriculum update. That was great. So if there is no further questions, board, this is curriculum adoption. That is an action item for us to approve.
I'll move that we approve this curriculum adoption.
And I second.
All right, Dan has moved that we approve math curriculum adoption that has been presented to us, and Hilda has seconded. Is there any discussion? All right, then I will call the vote. Meg?
Aye.
Dan?
Aye.
Hilda?
Aye.
Tasha?
Aye.
And I also vote aye. Math curriculum approved.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
We're really excited.
Yes, thank you for all your hard work on that. Excellent. All right, board, that moves us to the next item that we have been talking, well, the board was presented to this. We've been talking about transportation model for quite a while, actually 2 months. The board has been brought this to, and I know the district has been working on it a lot longer than 2 months. So Ginger, is that you and Eric that will be presenting to us?
Yes, so we went over this in the study session already. We had a discussion about it. So I'm just going to briefly go over the executive summary that I put in the board packet, and then we can kind of take it from there. I know that we'll have a community comment too after we present, so before you vote. So just as a reminder, once again, we had a need for this year's tiered model. Was something that was somewhat frustrating for our families. We had to do it for multiple reasons. But there was a larger gap, almost about an hour and 50 minutes between when the first tier of students were transported and the second tier. And so we said, okay, we knew we needed to do something different for next year. All year long, all through the summer, we tried to get more bus drivers. We did not get enough bus drivers to be able to reestablish the transfer system. And so we decided, I think it was 2 study sessions ago, that we would need to move forward with the tiered model. We also, in some of the preliminary work that the transportation department did with our software company, determined that by putting secondary students in the first tier and elementary in the second tier, that it would greatly reduce that gap between when the first group of students are transported and the second group. As you remember, we had multiple listening sessions with all of the different schools. We had a listening session in Spanish with our Spanish speaking parents. A theme that we heard over and over again was one of the most important things was really to reduce that gap between the first tier and the second tier. And so we went ahead and made that decision to put the secondary students in the first tier, knowing we have to move forward with the tiered model. The other thing that we heard from all the parent sessions is another common question that was being raised as well. Would it make sense? We know when we open Ida, Nason, and Aronica that we will need to look at having a tiered session, not only a tiered system, but also we're going to need to look at attendance zones or boundaries. So a question that came up from parents in particular was, well, why don't we just think about what would boundaries look like even to try to implement for next year? And the question in doing that was also, well, if we were to try to implement boundaries as well as a tiered system next year, would that reduce the gap any more than just a regular tiered system? So Eric worked really hard and the whole transportation team with Edu Logistics, which is our software company. And again, the focus was really how do we shrink that gap so that we don't have such a wide range of times. And so the two executives, this executive summary that I put in the packet that you've all reviewed has basically two different models. One is the standard tiered start model. The other one is the start tiered model with boundaries. And after collaborating with Eric and looking at the boundary maps and having discussions with him and the feedback he got from his transportation department and the software company, also in considering all of the feedback that we got from listening sessions, my recommendation to you is to choose the scenario 1, option 1, which involves the standard tiered start model as opposed to the standard model with the boundaries. And the reason for that is that it really promotes that optimal start time and stop time for schools. And the boundary model that when we compared the tiered model by itself and the tiered model with the boundaries, there was really, the times were the same as the start and stop times. There was no significant difference in the gap time between either of those tiered models. So knowing that, we thought, well, with all of the work that needs to be done to look at a model with boundaries, especially considering, we're already into June, it made sense to recommend that scenario 1, option 1. That way, our current kindergarten enrollment can just stay steady with the process that they've already begun. Most importantly, though, by waiting to really discuss and bring a committee together around the attendance zones. What would we do with, students for the attendance zones? Would we give them time to phase in? Would we just put the boundaries in and just expect students to do that and to attend within their attendance zone and put in a choice system on top of that? There's really a lot for a committee to discuss. The good news is that all the research that was done, it's great that was front loaded this year, because now we at least have a prototype of the boundaries. We have an idea of where those boundaries would be. And so we have a really great starting point for next year. If we were to wait until next year to look at the boundaries that were already drawn up by the software company and say, okay, let's look at that and really talk about what could that really mean and have some good discussion around what was already drawn up. And so I typed in what the timeline would be. Basically, we would start this committee in September and it would meet throughout first semester with the goal really to have a firm recommendation to the board in December around here's the steps that we will be taking to put this in place. Here's what that transition of students will look like for the 22-23 school year. The other thing too is that by doing it next year, the big hitch for us too is that, just as a reminder, the students when the beginning of the year have to go to, will be attending, the Lincoln students will be attending Lincoln Elementary School at the beginning of the year. And then in October, we're hoping mid to late October, Ida, Nace, and Aronica will be open. We'll be able to move all the Lincoln students and staff into Ida, Nason, and Aronica. And so as I put on number 6, our transportation crew, they not only have to figure out all the routing for getting the Lincoln students to Lincoln, and then they've got to do a whole other different routing system. So like 2 pretty significant changes within the same year because of the movement of our students and staff with Lincoln. So all of that in consideration, that is why we are making that recommendation to you to stay with scenario 1, option 1.
All right, thank you, Ginger. Board, we've been, like I said, this has been kind of ongoing discussion. It's been evolving for 2 months. The district's been working really hard at this. There's been a lot of gathering and feedback to this. I think at this point, if the board is comfortable, we can open this up to public comment. The public comment would be just specific to this issue. And then once we hear from public comment, board, are we then okay having discussion and then potentially, this is an action item, so moving forward? Anyone not okay with that? All right, if no one seems to be looking like they're concerned about that, so I think that's how we will move forward. So Matt, can you get us set up for public comment?
Yep.
All right, and I will read off how we will move forward in this. So individuals wishing to be heard by the board will either 1, add their names to the document in the Zoom chat box, or 2, be recognized within Zoom by using the icon or emoji showing that they are raising their hand. Once the chair calls on an individual, they will identify themselves by stating their name and address for the record. Individuals will proceed to make comments within the 3-minute time limit. In order to provide equal opportunity for comments, an individual's microphone will be turned off at the 3-minute time limit. The chair may interrupt or terminate an individual's statement when it is too lengthy, personally directed, abusive, obscene, or irrelevant. Tonight, this specific public comment will just be concerning the transportation that's before us. The board as a whole has the final decision in determining the appropriateness of such rulings. In the accordance to the Public Meetings Act 4230, agenda and topics must be set in advance of the meeting. Board members will not respond to public comment during this meeting. Additional comments may be submitted to the board at board@esd.org. Matt, are we ready to open up public comment?
Yes, we are.
All right. Do we have anyone signed up yet?
Hang on just one moment.
Or do we have any hands up?
I'm getting up my participant list here so that I can see everyone, to be able to look through that. I did have one person sign up. I don't know if they're for the general public comment or whether they were wanting specifically for this, but since they are first on the list, I see a Janelle Johnson.
Perfect. Yeah, we can have Janelle go first, and then Janelle, if it isn't about transportation, just let us know that, and we'll move you to the last public comment, which is the general public comment. But again, just make sure that if you wish to have a public comment, it is about transportation.
And then really quick, are we doing the standard 3 minutes on this, Jason, as well?
Yes,
3
3 minutes.
And I have asked her to unmute.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I would like to save my comments for the later time.
Okay, thank you, Janelle.
Thank you.
Yep. All right, Matt, do we have anybody else specific to transportation? If not, I'm not seeing anybody either. I think we can set a timer for 30 seconds to see if we have anybody wishing to do so. And again, be sure to raise your hand.
I did not see anyone add their name to the list, nor did I see anyone raise their hands.
All right, thank you, Matt. So we will close public comment for the transportation model. So board, this is an action item.
I move that we approve Ginger recommendation about the transportation model.
I'll second.
Okay, so just for clarification, Hilda, so when you say Ginger's recommendation, so just to clarify, I'd like to do this. So this would be, and I don't have it in front of me, but I believe it's model 1, option 1. Is that correct, Ginger?
Scenario 1, option 1. Yep.
There we go. Scenario 1, option.
Yeah.
Okay, so just want to verify, are we comfortable adding that to it? I just want to be really clear what one we're approving.
Yeah, and that's tiered system without boundaries for the first year.
Okay, perfect. So Matt, do we have that on record as that as the motion?
I have moved to approve the transportation model of a tiered system without.
Yeah, Matt, put scenario 1, option 1, please, because that's what it is in the executive summary.
Scenario 1.
Yeah.
I'll read it back to you as soon as I have it here.
Thank you.
I have moved to approve the transportation model of a tiered system without boundaries. Scenario 1, option 1.
Yes.
Okay, and Hilda, okay, thank you, Matt. Hilda, does that sound, is that what you had made the motion for?
Yes, it is.
And Dan, is that your second?
Yes.
All right, thank you everyone for those clarifications. Board, we have a motion from Hilda and a second from Dan to approve. Any discussion?
This has been a really long and extensive work. Right? So really huge thank you to Transportation Department and Eric Engel, who does know how to drive a bus and probably wanted to put us under a bus a lot of times during these discussions. It's really hard, right? It changed to families and school and schedule. It's really, really difficult. But it's also one that is fiscally responsible. It's one that I found out matched a lot of ways in which our parents have always looked at transportation. That was a surprise. And it was also an issue where we visited every single school, where we were able to engage with parent groups. We were able to hear from some of our Spanish speaking families. And it wasn't that anyone walked out and said, this is the plan, this is the way it's going to be. Because of those meetings, because of those ideas that families shared, superintendent went and visited Hope Source, spoke to the city, started making some of those community building activities. And it just really gave us additional practice this year of our system has to change. Our way of life and existence has to change, and we can only do that together. And we can only do that if we moderate each other. We can only do that if we come together and say, this is what we can do with the constraints that we have and the reality that we're living. And I'm really pleased that this isn't something where we're pushing boundaries. We have another big system change where all of a sudden we're gonna have 4 elementary schools online in the following academic year. And that gives us a chance to move to boundaries. Right? It gives us a chance to really look and say, what does our community need? And we get to have a committee work do that for an entire year. And I think that's important. So it's just a huge thanks to all the people who've engaged in this conversation. It wasn't easy, but I think it was really, really important.
Thank you, Tasha. Board, any other comments or discussion before I call the vote? All right, then I'm going to call the vote. Meg? I think I heard, yes, I saw Meg say aye. Okay, Dan?
Aye.
Hilda?
Aye.
Tasha?
Aye.
I also vote aye. Transportation model approved.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Ginger. And again, Tasha summed that up so perfectly. I just want to add, I think, again, thank you, Eric, and all the staff to do this. This was some major problem solving that you never gave up on, and you just kept going back to the plate to come up with a solution. And I think that says a lot to your work to do that. So thank you on behalf of the district and our community for all that hard work to get where we are now. And I'm excited to see where we can keep going too. So keep up the great work.
Thanks, Jason. I couldn't have done it without our team. This is my last board meeting, as everyone is aware. A little bittersweet to depart Ellensburg School District, but we're not moving out of town, so you'll see me around. But I gotta say, you know, the folks that we have working in transportation, both, you know, in the shop, working on buses, my office staff, obviously, with all of this work with the bus routing piece and keeping that whole thing glued together all year long through all the challenges. And then my drivers who have stuck with us because they've had to absorb every change we've made throughout the entire school year. And in my mind, there's no way we could have managed it had they given up on us. And so my hat is off to everybody involved all year. And I'm encouraged that, you know, if we keep doing things the right way, they will continue to serve our kids the way they always have. And they put those kids first every day. So thank you for supporting us. I appreciate, you know, all of the dialogue that we've had over the last 4 years. And I just ask that you give my successor the same courtesies and wide berth to do what we do here as you have for me. Thank you.
Yep. Thank you, Eric. Well said. Thank you. Okay. All right, board, we have nothing under business tonight. So we will keep moving through the agenda. Nothing under policies. So that will take us to board reports. The first board report would be early learning. Dan, do you have a report?
Yeah, short one. Today was the last book giveaway that happened at noon today down at the Catholic Church, and the Early Learning Coalition who runs that will be taking 2 months off and will start back up in September. So you guys will have to wait a little bit. Use the library. That's it.
All right, thank you, Dan. And next we have student reports, and I think Jaden is the only one here. Jaden, is there a report?
Yeah, I just wanted to say a quick thank you to Superintendent Haberer and board members, Dr. Pena Alfaro and Ms. Ludlum. It was great seeing you all last night at the academic and scholarship recognition. But the other thing is that the focus group is meeting on June 15th for the first time. And so, although it's the very end of the school year, I think it's going to be a great start to get a group together and get ideas flowing so that they can have the summer to simmer and pick up strong at the start of September. And that's all I have. Thank you, board.
Thank you, Jaden. You will be very much missed from this board. So we appreciate all the hard work and all the work that you've done for the students, on behalf of the students, as well as the board. So thank you for all your help this year. All right, next up we have teaching and learning. Tasha.
I don't have anything except just to reiterate what you said to Jaden and wishing her well, and that in teaching and learning, it's pretty extraordinary that we get to have a student on the board as a board rep. And it just really meets those ends of helping students be engaged citizens, right? They don't have to wait till they're 18. They don't have to, their voices are important now. They're important in kindergarten. They're important when they're seniors. And we have a lot to learn and grow from them. And Jaden has been an exemplary example of a young leader during COVID. I don't think I've actually met Jaden in person, right? Through all this, like it's been all this in Zoom. And yet she still persevered and led. And so the future is bright because of young students like her.
Thank you. And then the last board report would be legislative report. Meg, do we have a report?
I do not have a report. The legislative teams are not exactly on a summer hiatus, but there are some activities going on in what they call the interim, but nothing to report about that. But I too want to appreciate both Jaden and Olivia for serving on this board and for participating in the legislative process with us. And I also look forward to working with the new student reps, and I hope somebody, if not somebody else, maybe me, will look into the Student Voices presentation at the WASA conference that was mentioned during the study session, because I think we made better, our board representatives this year participated better than in the past. Not a lot of thanks to the board, but more to them themselves. I think we could make even better use of student voice in the future, and I'd like to see us do that.
Thank you, Meg. Okay, board, this takes us to public comment. So our general public comment. So thank you those who have held on for the public comment. I will read off how we will move forward again. Matt, if you can get us set up to open up for public comment. Individuals wishing to be heard by the board will either 1, add their name to the document in the Zoom chat, or 2, be recognized within Zoom by using the icon or emoji to show they are raising their hand. Once the chair calls on an individual, they will identify themselves by stating their name and address for the record. Individuals will proceed to make comments within the 3-minute time limit. In order to provide equal opportunity for comments, an individual's microphone will be turned off at the 3-minute time limit. I, as chair, may interrupt, terminate an individual's statement if it is too lengthy, personally directed, abusive, obscene, or irrelevant. The board as a whole has the final decision in determining the appropriateness of such rulings. In accordance to the Open Public Meetings Act 4230, agendas and topics must be set in advance of the meeting. Board members will not respond to public comment during the meeting. Additionally, comments may be submitted to the board at board@esd401.org. Matt, are we ready to open up public comment?
Yes, we are.
All right.
Participant list open again. And the first one I have on the list, of course, is Janelle Johnson. Let me get your microphone unlocked. I've asked you to unmute.
Okay. Hi, board. My name is Janelle Johnson. I live at 808 East Capitol Avenue. I have a student at the high school and 2 at the middle school, all in band. And I'm here tonight as a band advocate. You may have remembered hearing from me last summer when we were really concerned about the middle school band position. And I just wanted to come before you tonight and bring that back to your minds maybe, because it's close to our hearts, that we really would love to see that position be full-time or as close to full-time as we could get it, so we could get and maintain a quality band program and director that can stay and make a living. I know that money is tight, but I mean, if this year has shown us a lot about students and their need to have a place to plug in. They need something to invest in, and whether that's band or orchestra or music choir or clubs that they haven't been able to do. I think, and we lost Mr. Howard, who was so good. Both of my girls loved him. One of my daughters said, I want to be a music teacher when I grow up. This is new. This is new. We've never heard that before, but he had inspired that in her. And he did get a full-time position in Yakima, darn it. But I just would like to say, please, 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 don't forget about that. And we've seen a huge hit in our music programs from COVID. And losing quality people like Mrs. Norfleet. And so if there's any way that we could start to look at that position as like, we want a strong band program, we want to, you know, build that up. And the high school had a concert on Monday night. They did amazing. I wish you guys all would have been there to see what the kids were able to do in such a short time and hardly practicing together through masks. And they made beautiful music together. And the middle school's concert is coming up on the 15th. And I would invite all of you to come and support them and to see what they've been able to do. And maybe that would, encourage you to look at that. Thank you so much for your hard work. I know you're doing a great job and really trying to put the students first. So I just wanted to come tonight and ask you to please don't forget about the arts and band. Thank you.
Thank you, Janelle.
Okay, I'm looking at the list again, and I'm not seeing anyone on the list, and just reminding people that you can use your emoji, a hand raise emoji on the list. And that way I know that you're interested in doing the public speaking portion. I'm not currently seeing anyone with their hand raised. Would you like me to set a timer?
Yes, thank you, Matt. Go ahead and set a timer for 30 seconds.
Okay, I did not see anyone raise their hand, and no one added their name to the list.
All right, thank you, Matt. Then public comment is now closed. Ginger, any clarifications?
Nope.
Okay, excellent. So board, that brings us to new business, proposed items for future consideration. I'm looking at all of you and I don't see you jumping up. So I'm assuming we'll move to the next topic. Okay, so Ginger, is there an executive session? No, okay. Board calendar. Clarifications and next steps. All right, Matt, how are we doing on signing of official documents?
With our passing of these new resolutions, those will need to be signed. So if you could make your way in, that would be great. Additionally, just as a reminder, I do have the tickets for graduation ceremony for tomorrow night, which is Thursday at 8 p.m. And so when you're swinging by to sign documents and you wanted to pick up a ticket, you could do so. That's my incentive.
All right, thank you, Matt, for that. Perfect.
And
so,
just a quick reminder for graduation. I was just looking at Haley's list. She does have down, if those board members that can make it, like anywhere between 6 and 6:30. If you want to hand out programs, that's great. We really need to be ready on the stage by 7:45, ready to go. And we anticipate that the parking will be challenging probably. So I just encourage you guys to get there early.
All right, thank you, Ginger. All right, board, then I will entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Meg has moved. Do I have a second?
I second.
And Hilda has seconded. So we are now adjourned. Thank you all. Have a great evening.